You don't know when you're going to get the call. If you're not ready, what are you going to tell them? Actually, could I get a couple months? I'm not. You're done. You got to go.
My name is the reality Zack Clayton. I'm an entertainment superstar and certainly the biggest star here tonight.
It's one thing to want it, and then it's another thing to be prepared for it when it comes.
Heads up! Uh-oh! Oh, baby! He just cold-cocked Tommy Dreamer. Ruin your eyesight. Come on! And he's laughing about it. And now he's got the national championship title belt. Are we looking at the future here?
Yeah, I mean, it's just at this point.
So when I was down in Florida, I instantly lost like half of everyone I spoke to. You know, it's hard to keep those relationships, and the people that didn't believe really in me anyway kind of just dropped off. Now I'm noticing people starting to fade away, and it's like, wait a minute, you guys my whole life are like rooting me on, cheering for me, and then I go to do the thing that I said I was going to do that you wanted me to do, and now you're like turning your back on me. What's up with that?
In this disgusting wasteland of a state, I will win the FTW title. And I'm going to bring it home with me to a state that people actually respect, New Jersey.
So then I had to learn that people want you to do well, but not so much better than them.
My guest today knows what it means to bet everything on yourself. Zack Clayton is a professional wrestler out of upstate New York who didn't take the easy road. He grounded out on the independent circuit for years. He kept showing up when there was no guarantee anyone was watching, and he earned his way onto the biggest wrestling stages in the business. You might have seen him on MTV's Jersey Shore Family Vacation, living his life in front of the cameras. But what I respect about him most is that not only did he reinvent himself through wrestling and entertainment, but also investing, podcasting, and making an impact in people's lives. He's a guy who's been knocked down, counted out, and keeps getting back up. Zack, is such an honor. Welcome to the Michael James Way.
Well, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate the intro.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice. Absolutely. Well, you know, Zack, as I was doing a little bit of researching on you and just getting to know you as we've never really met in person before, your story and my story, like, they seem to be running a parallel life, you know, okay, with your rise to fame in the wrestling world. And what I loved about hearing some of your story was it started out young, you know, 11 years old, you wanted to be a wrestler. Walk me through that. Tell me what that was for you. And I love, you got to mention the part about getting a bench press for your graduation in 5th grade.
Yeah. So you really did some homework. I love that.
Did.
Man. Yeah. Yeah. So I think we all as kids relate to something, whether it's sports, whether it's music, whether it's anything. And we all kind of have the one thing that we're gravitated towards. For me, that was pro wrestling and sports in general, but it was pro wrestling. I looked at those guys growing up as superheroes. And I kind of said, well, if they can make me feel like that, someday I want to make other kids feel like that.
Yeah.
So I was very young. I didn't know what I was doing or talking about or even thinking, because when we're kids, we have these dreams. And I was like, well, I don't even know. I have no idea where to even begin with something like that. But I do know one thing. All the guys I watch on TV are super big and jacked. So I was like, I could probably start there. So I was, you know, when I got to 11-ish, I was 11, but, you know, I started before that of thinking about it, doing push-ups and stuff like that. But when I was 11, I asked my mom for a bench press for the garage for my 5th grade graduation ceremony. And I got it. She gave it to me. She was like, you know, be careful. Don't kill yourself. Okay. Whatever that meant at the time. So I would go downstairs and in the garage and start working it out. And the goal was I couldn't control anything except my body. So if I could build my body, I'm just a little bit closer to becoming that one day.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it started.
Yeah, that's so awesome. You know, it reminds me when I was a kid, I always wanted to be a business owner. And of course, as a kid, I didn't know what that meant. At the time, I associated business owner meant lots of money. Of course, you know, being a business owner, myself being a business owner, that is a false
That's right.
you know. However, it can happen, but it's definitely a false belief without the grind, without the push and the effort. But as a kid, very similar to you, you were like, I want the bench press. And for me, wanting to be an entrepreneur, I loved working with my hands and I loved building things. I wanted a table saw and I wanted a skill saw. And so that's what I would get. Although I love sports and I loved playing basketball, I got the table saw, I got the skill saw, and was just building things. But that was the start of something bigger, you know, of just dabbling into a world of entrepreneurship. And so tell me.
That's a little more dangerous than the bench press, by the way.
I don't know, man. You know, yeah, I could cut my fingers off,
Yeah.
but you know, you could slam a set of barbells or a set of a barbell with a bunch of weights right on your chest. I'm sure you've done that once.
I have. Yeah.
Well, in the same way, I have run a finger through the table saw before. So
yeah, but luckily you still have them all, right? So
I do have them all. Thank God, right?
Yeah.
So tell me, so you go through, you're young, you're like, I want to look jack like those wrestlers. Take me through, like, as you go into high school and then as you even go beyond high school, what that was.
So it was pretty consistent lifestyle for me because I was an athlete. I was an athlete since I was 4 years old. I started playing baseball. And then in middle school, I started playing baseball and football. So when I started working out, it just kind of coincided with being an athlete. You know, you want to get bigger, faster, stronger so that I could be better at sports. Also in the back of my mind, it's like, well, maybe someday I could do the wrestling thing. I don't know how, I don't know what, I don't know when or where, but maybe. So going through school, wasn't a big school guy. I liked athletics. You know, I was an athlete. That's what I was. So when I was 19, you know, you graduate high school and then you're like, what am I going to do? Well, I went to college for exercise physiology. I was going to be something. I didn't want to be a gym teacher, right? Because they were like, oh, you like sports? Be a gym teacher. I hate school. So why would why would I want to go back to school and spend my life in school? So no. But I was like, all right, maybe I could be a trainer for sports league, NFL, MLB, whatever. So I was kind of going that route. So I had a job at an athletic training gym. You know, we trained athletes. So I sort of ran the gym there. And I was like, this is awesome. I could do this. This could just be what I do. And then when I was 19, I was like, you know what? Let me try this wrestling thing. If I have to move somewhere, I will. I'm still young. You know, I'll do whatever I have to do. Well, there was a local school, a wrestling school, and people think, what is a wrestling school? Well, it's you go to a place with a ring and somebody hopefully knows what they're doing, and they kind of teach you the basics of pro wrestling, like you would boxing or MMA or anything else. It's very underground, you know, like no one really knows what's going on. You walk in there, like, am I going to get beat up or mugged or what's going on? And I'm a kid, right? I'm 19 years old. So I learned the basics there. You know, there's dues you got to pay. It's like $1,000 a year, whatever it is. So I'm like, that's a commitment at the time. You know, you don't really have money when you're a kid. You're like, wow, am I really going to do this? So I spent some time there, literally running the ropes, learning the basics. And it was the most natural thing I've ever done to that point. It was like, this is awesome. I loved it. So you kind of start like an underground band, like an indie band. You start going around to bars and to little gyms and stuff, anywhere that will do a show. They
Sure.
put on these shows and you go there and you do your stuff and you leave and you do it again next weekend and you try to get your name out on the circuit that way. Right. So about a year after that, like 20, 21, I find there's a legit school ran by a legit guy, Johnny Rodz, WWF Hall of Famer from the 80s in Brooklyn. Well, I'm in Albany, New York, so that's 3 hours away. So I'm like, okay, I'll drive to Brooklyn a few times a week, a month, whatever it takes. And that's what I did. I met Johnny Rodz, and he really liked me. I was a young, big, good-looking kid, and I wanted it. I wanted to be a wrestler. So I would do what it would take. So I would meet him. I'd drive to Brooklyn from Albany a few times a week, a month, whatever it was, do his shows. And then I got on the larger sort of northeast circuit. So now you can do shows in New York City. So now it's like you're in front of real people. You're not in front of like your friends and family anymore. You're in front of like real wrestling people now. So now it's like you sink or swim, right? So you learn that. That's tough, and you just kind of go through that circuit, and then that's how it started. I mean, it was a long grind. That was a long grind from 19, and then I went with Johnny, and really until COVID. Did nothing really take off until COVID, actually.
Wow. So you talk about the grind, and I relate so much with the grind, with, as you know, my part of my journey was kind of being lost. I was heavily involved in cycling as it was just kind of my go-to sport. I was athletic, but I hired a coach because I just wanted to get better. I was still an amateur. She's like, go up to nationals and race and just see how you do. I'm like, I'm a nobody, but because I put so much time into riding, I unintentionally got good. I go up to nationals and I finished 12th in the nation. And I'm like, I think I may be good, but I was mentally, I was just still so lost that I knew that I had to make a shift and do something different. And that was when I rode my bicycle across the United States. And the thing that I learned in that was you can be motivated, but motivation is short-lived.
Yeah.
You and I can be motivated off of this podcast, and we go out, we leave the podcast, and we do something new or different. And then at some point, discipline and consistency has got to take over. So take me through what that was for you as you went from, now you're going to the wrestling, you paid $1,000, you're learning it all. And with the heart and the drive and the desire to get to the big boy league, to the AEW, that grind, that discipline, that consistency, that motivation, what was all that like?
Yeah. So I'll get to AEW. So AEW is where I spent 3 years there. I work with TNA now. And then I know a lot of guys still in WWE. They're my good friends, but that's all through the journey. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, to back up, it's the uncertainty that is the biggest thing. I mean, that's what you're alluding to as well. Like motivation works. Like right now, you just said it. Bang. Did this awesome podcast. You know what? I'm going to go out. I was talking with Michael. We're all fired up. I'm going to go out and do all this crazy. Well, next week.
Yeah.
Michael's not there anymore. You're by yourself.
Right.
And now things are hard.
Yeah.
So now what do you do? Because now you don't want to drive 3 hours to Brooklyn because you didn't get anything out of it.
Yeah.
Right away. And you don't know when you will. And you may never. So what do I do with that?
Yeah.
Well, I just show up again next week.
Yeah.
And again next week, and again next week, and get your ass kicked, and again next week. There is no, just like entrepreneurship, there is no definitive answer or end line that says you do this for this long and this is your outcome.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist. So, and by the way, like you could actually get really hurt doing this.
Yeah,
That's
right.
the other thing. Like, I could at 20 years old break my neck, and then what?
Yeah.
You know? So you have to be a little willing to just kind of give everything up.
Yeah.
And entrepreneurship's a lot like that too, in the same way that you don't know the outcome. It's not predetermined. You're not signing a contract with the state and going to work at your desk for the next 30 years. You know your schedule, you know your pay, you know when you wake up, when you go home. That doesn't exist here.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to be willing to throw your life to the wind, and wherever the wind takes you is where you got to go next.
Yeah.
And that is something you either learn and accept really fast, or you don't, and then this life is not for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I read a little bit that your dad was a big influence early on in encouraging you to go down the road of wrestling. Tell me a little bit about that and your relationship with him, and what groundwork, what foundation that laid for you in getting all the way to to AEW and WWE. And
Yeah. My dad's awesome. So was my mom. They were my biggest support at the time. They didn't know what, my mom especially was like, what do you want to do? But my dad was a fan of pro wrestling because he actually worked at our home arena in Albany. So he was the head security there. So whenever WWE came around or like anything, he was there. So when WWE would come around, he would be the guy helping them run the show, like the run of show, like, okay, this is going to happen over here. Can we get people there? So like he was very involved. He would walk the guys from backstage or to the parking lot into the building. So he was familiar with the product. And he was a fan of The Rock and Steve Austin and Ric Flair and all those guys from the 90s. Actually, the iconic, are you a wrestling fan at all?
As a kid, I was. So like the Hulk Hogan, the Andre the Giant, the Ric Flair, all of that. I mean, I totally was. I loved it. And then I grew away from it.
Sure. So there's a historic scene in our business of Steve Austin on top of a beer truck. And he has a hose, like a fire hose, and he's spraying beer across Vince McMahon and his son and The Rock. That happened in my home arena of Albany, New York. I was too young to go at the time, but my dad was there, and he helped them orchestrate where the beer truck was going to come from, like under the big Titantron. And he was right there on the floor. You could see him in the footage. So like he loves that still because it's a piece of history that'll be there forever. And he was a part of it. But of course, so because of those things, he was very supportive of doing it. But again, didn't know how.
Yeah.
That's crazy to say. That's like saying, you want to be world champ in anything.
Sure.
But I always say it's way different. Because you know wrestling, but I tell people who don't know wrestling, if you were to compare it to the NFL. So if you're a kid, hey, I want to go play pro football in the NFL. Awesome. You got 32 teams, 50 roster teams. So you got a lot of places you can go, right?
Sure.
In pro wrestling, you got like 5.
Yeah.
You got like 5 spots. That's it.
Yeah.
And everybody else is kind of just there. And then the people that are kind of just there's only like 30. So you go from a ton of opportunity, even as small chance as it is, 1% actually make it, right? And now it's like 0.01% make it.
Sure.
So it's like you have to wrap your head around that too.
Yeah, totally. You're you're a small fish in a small pool, but to get to that level that you got to, I mean, what an amazing feat to be able to do that. I can't imagine, but going back to your dad and your mom and that support, what also a great honor for them to see that journey of you making it to the big leagues, in the wrestling world, and seeing all their efforts and their, the money that they put towards you and everything.
Yeah. And they, I was talking a few minutes ago about those kind of bootleg shows that we were doing, right? And like the back of bars or whatever, they were at every one of them locally. They would drive a few hours, even sometimes, even to this day. I live in New Jersey now, and sometimes I have local shows and they'll come to those. So to see me from then till now, it's pretty cool. And then going to get to wrestle back in my home arena professionally on the big stage is also pretty cool. That like I grew up going to those shows and watching. Now I was there doing it. So that was pretty cool for me. But again, none of it was predictable. You hope, you wish, but there's no telling if it's going to work out or not.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the journey of being an entrepreneur and the big dreams of wanting to be a multi-millionaire and create all this success, but that intention that you said in the very beginning is like I feel like in my life has just been the key. Like, yes, we don't know the outcome. We don't know what that's going to be, but that intentions of, I'm going to do everything. I read a statement of yours. Actually, I'm going to read the quote that I absolutely just love. You said, the biggest thing for me is to always be ready because, like that call for the AEW, I got the call 3 days before I had to be there. And if I wasn't ready to go, then the shot's gone. So one thing for me is to literally always, every day, be ready. And so tell me what that is. I love that.
Thanks for sharing that. I haven't, I must have said that it's obviously true. But I haven't heard that read back to me. So that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah,
man. That just goes back to that kid who just wanted it.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to want it, and then it's another thing to be prepared for it when it comes.
Yeah.
So for me, because I didn't know, and you don't know when you're going to get the call, and you don't know when you got to go. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here we go. So if you're not ready, what are you going to tell them? Yeah. Actually, could I get a couple months? I'm not
sure.
You're done.
Yeah.
So you have to be ready. And I always make a joke because I don't consider myself a body guy. A lot of pro wrestlers do, like bodybuilders. I'm in shape, but I'm not like a bodybuilder, like a stage bodybuilder. Mm-hmm. I'm nimble, I'm fast, I'm agile, I'm big, I'm strong. I try to be the best of everything, right? But I always make a joke in the bodybuilding community. It's like there's bulking season and there's cutting season. Well, for me, there's just always on season. Because I can't have a season where I need to be prepared for the next season. I just got to be ready right now.
Sure.
So that's the other part of this that no one tells you. When you want to be in like tighty whities on TV and your whole body's exposed, no one tells you that like actually you need to always be in shape. You need to always be ready. You need to always be comfortable with that. That's a whole different learning cycle.
Yeah.
Because, I was talking about the NFL earlier. At least, those linemen are 300-400 pounds they're big guys, but they don't have to look good to do their job.
Right.
You should look good to do my job.
Yeah, sure.
So you got to be ready. They can call you anytime.
It's a lot different when back in the days in the 80s when Andre the Giant, he didn't have the best physique.
Yeah.
He had the height, which was probably what got him those opportunities. But nowadays, I mean, it's all about the look, all about the how you're going to impress everybody. That's such a great mentality, though, to have, where you just don't, that becomes your drive. That becomes your why. It's like, I have to be ready all times.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's just like business. It's like your company can never have a downswing. I mean, it can and it will, but you don't want that to happen. And when it does happen, you can't just say, that's all right. No.
Yeah.
That's how you're going to die if you do that. You cannot be okay with that. So it's the same thing that applies here.
Yeah.
It's that same mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You're totally right on. So you've gone through the world of wrestling, and eventually it has its end, right? Start to get a little older or whatever. What your transition out of the AEW, what has that been for you? What I've seen online and what I've read is like you haven't stopped. You're still creating, you're still reinventing, you're still making it happen. And one thing that I love is that it's all about impact for you and making a difference in others. Tell me what this new transition over the last 4 or 5 years has been for you.
Yeah, man. So I still wrestle. I do it. I'm doing a lot of stuff with TNA now. So it's not. So what we do is we film. Like if we're wrestling at the end of the month, we're gonna do 2 days and tape TV episodes. So we'll tape a few weeks of TV there. So when I was with AEW, it was 1 or 2 days every week. I was flying somewhere on the road. So that's actually better for me. So I can do other things as well. Because also I have the MTV show with my fiance. So we're on MTV as well, Jersey Shore, and that's fun. That provides a whole another avenue to stay relevant. Right.
Sure.
And to potentially be involved in marketing things that you're up to, like wrestling career or other business ventures. And on top of that, I said this too. I believe that if you are someone of notoriety and you have a big platform and people look up to you and follow you, that I think you have a duty to give back in some capacity. So that's what I try to do. I told you when I was 18, 19, training athletes, I loved it. It was so awesome and fulfilling and a big part of my life. And I think training and coaching will always be a part of my life. I had 5-year-old kids to 85-year-old women that I was coaching. And that part I loved because I love helping people. I really do. So I spent some time, I spent a lot of time actually. Still, I have some community chats, Instagram, Discord, Facebook. I send out email blasts to anyone who wants to sign up, and I just give free health advice from everything I've learned over the years. And people love it. We've got several thousand people in those communities, all free. Just blasting health advice and people coming back with questions, and they're helping each other in the communities. It's great. So I think that's really important. Because if you're somebody that people look up to, I mean, I believe in providing value.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. I think the biggest thing and the biggest shift I made in business, after I did my ride across the United States, and it was all about me and trying to figure out, what's going on in me, after having a divorce, I lost my home. I lost it all, and made that choice to ride my bicycle across the United States to figure me out. But as I did that, unlike you, you had a great relationship with your dad and your dad was inspirational to you. I hated my dad growing up. But that trip brought us back together. He started getting curious, like, why is this kid riding his bicycle across the United States? And it restored over a 42-day journey. It restored my relationship with my dad. And I knew that I wanted to make an impact. I knew that after coming out of that trip, I got to do something different. And I started shifting the way I did business to a transactional. I remodel your home, you give me money. To, I want to create a legacy. I want to make a difference in my customers' lives. I want to make a difference in my employees' lives. And I'm going to do this for impact first. And if money follows, which I believe it would, then so be it, but impact first. And, when I made that shift, 2019 was when I made that shift. I grew my revenue 100% year over year to current, but it all started from making an impact, and I believe if we put impact first, making a difference in others, then money and revenue and all of those things just come from that.
Yeah. No, I love what you said there. Impact first. So my dad taught me when I was a young kid. I was pretty young. He's like, listen, you can do a lot of things in life, but no matter what you do in life and no matter what changes in life, you're going to always have one thing, and that's your name. So what are people going to think about when they hear your name? Because they're not just going to think about your face. They're going to think about what you do and who you are as a person.
Yeah.
So, and you're going to have people that don't like you. That's just life. But what are the majority of people going to say about you and the impact that you've had and how you made them feel? So that's kind of always stuck with me to what I'm doing now. Because I really, truly believe no matter what, I'll always want to be helping people. And I also think success, you have to be able to give back, or I don't really think you have success. Because then what are you doing it for?
Sure.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I've just read about you and I started putting it all together, like if I could put it into one sentence, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm okay with being wrong. I looked at it as wrestling was a vehicle. The purpose was for you to impact people's lives through physical and mental wellness.
I love that.
And so as I put all that together, I was like, even questioning my own, my entrepreneurship and my ventures and my home remodeling, that's just a vehicle. The vehicle I'm using to make a difference in somebody else's lives, to make, if I can change or help one person on this podcast, make a difference. That's all it takes. It's all worth it if one person's life could be changed.
I really love that. And thank you for saying that. Because I think you're right. And I always say what you just said too. So as long as I've been doing this, if I can just help one person, then everything is worth it.
Yeah.
Like that quote and stuff that you mentioned, that that I post some things like self-help talk. I'm not doing that for people who don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
I'm talking to myself.
Totally.
And if you find value there, I'm glad. And I would like you to use it if it's useful to you. If it's not useful to you, Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm putting that out there for me.
Yeah. You know, one thing on one of your podcasts, you talked about the self-belief and, you know, how, as you know, a lot of people, they just don't want to work for it. It's too hard. It's too difficult. It's people like being comfortable, and to stay comfortable, you don't make that progress. You don't move those needles forward. And you quoted Les Brown's statement that I love. You know, sometimes you got to believe in someone else's belief in you until your own belief kicked in. And that's what it was for me. I was so beat down emotionally, losing my marriage. I became a single dad. My business was collapsing. I didn't believe in me. But somebody said, why don't you go try this? Somebody else believed in me first, that allowed me to start building and flexing that muscle to the point where I could believe in me, you know? And
I love that.
I loved it when you said that about Les Brown and his statement. It is so true.
I love that. And a lot of this boils down to like the self-help stuff because a lot of people don't believe in it.
Yeah.
Like what you just said, that I said, a negative, bearish minded person could hear that and go, rah, 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 right? It takes acceptance first to really focus down and say, well, could I get value from this? Even if it's one word, even if it's a stranger or a coach, because that for me is super fulfilling. Looking at a young kid and saying, hey, you can do it. I believe in you. That might be all that kid needs.
Sure.
And we all need that too sometimes.
Yeah, totally. I'm sure with you, you had those moments before the call, right? Before that call that you had.
Oh,
3
yeah.
days
I've been,
wanted to quit.
There have been, Michael, there were days where, you know, you want to give, there's months, years where you're just like, this isn't it. I'm not making any money. I'm tired. I'm beat up. I'm sick of driving all over the country for a hot dog and a handshake. You know, like, I'm over it.
Right.
And then you might get a call from somebody. Could be your mom, could be your dad, could be your spouse, could be your brother, could be anybody. Could be a fan on the internet. That's just like, hey, one day I hope you make it. And you get enough of those and you believe in that. You're like, huh. You know? Yeah. So like here goes a message out. I'm talking to me. I'm not talking for you. And if you find it useful, that's great. I hope you do. But I'm sending the message out for me. You know, it's like, Michael, what athletes understand and business people understand. And by the way, I think you have that mindset or you don't. I think if you have it on a low scale, you can train and make it better. But I think it's also, and it's been proven, it's very, very hard to take someone who does not have that mindset and have them fully adopt that mindset. It's a different side of the brain. It's completely different. I think you can have it a little bit and expand, but if you don't have it at all, it is very, very, very difficult to get somebody to understand it.
Yeah, for sure.
And this is why athletes make great business people, because they learn at a young age. You get out what you put in.
Yeah. There
is no excuse. There is no victimhood. There is no crying in baseball. You figure it out.
Yeah.
Right. And a champion is different than everybody else because they push through. They're resilient. They're persistent. They're disciplined, and they don't take no for an answer until it's over.
Yeah.
And getting a regular person, I hate to say it that way, but you know what I mean, to understand that,
Sure.
it's almost impossible. It
Yeah.
really is. Because you have to learn how to take a bad outcome and use it and not let it use you.
Yeah.
Because if you let it use you, you become a victim.
Right.
And then everything is somebody else's problem or something else's fault. You got to take full accountability and responsibility. It's my fault.
Totally. Yeah, you're right. One thing I always tell my staff, they know this very clearly. The words can't, the words maybe, the words probably, the words I'll try, those things just don't exist in my vocabulary.
Can I add? I'm going to add another one for you.
Absolutely.
I recently started doing this, and maybe like 2 years ago, and I wish everyone can learn it right now. The word should. Get rid of the word should. You should do this. You should be like this. We should do that. Just do it. Just drop it. Just end it. Just move on. There's no should.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. That's a really good one.
Sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to add that.
No, that's all good. It's just part of this growth is like reprogramming what society plants.
Totally.
It's like, it's common to go, I can't, or it's common to go, I'll try. It's common. It's not common to go, that word doesn't exist. I'm going to retrain my brain to not say the word I should. It's reprogramming that belief system, that starts from such an early age.
That's exactly what their belief systems. And I'm sure you're familiar with Alex Hormozy.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know the quote around belief systems that he has? He says, we question all beliefs except the ones we truly believe. Those we never think to question.
That's so true.
And if you think about that and apply it to your life, it's everything.
Yeah. Very true. That's a good one. So speaking of belief, what beliefs have you had to let go to basically become who you are today?
Yeah, I still learn every day. But it starts young. It starts with the athlete's mind. That's kind of something that I say within my circle, because accountability, respect, discipline, responsibility. You expand that out to different meanings, but it all comes back to the same principles. We were just talking about it. Doesn't matter about the excuse. Doesn't matter about the outcome. How can we flip it and turn it? It's just, you have to have the mindset for success and not let yourself get beat up and torn down.
Yeah.
I am my biggest critic.
Totally.
Me.
Yeah, sure.
So that I don't care. Nobody else can say something about me that I don't already know. Nobody else can hurt my feelings more than I can hurt my own feelings. So I don't care what people say about me. And I had to learn that young, being a wrestler, because you get crazy criticism. And then you go on reality TV, you get crazy criticism. And then you're in business and you get crazy criticism. And it doesn't matter to me. So that's a big one. You have to let go of other people's opinions about you. Because if you know you, which we do, we tend to, and sometimes your partner or your family might know you better in certain circumstances than, back to the Les Brown thing, right? Sometimes we get lost in our own mind, but you can't let them control you.
Yeah, that's good.
You can't you can't, because then you live for their beliefs of you.
Yeah.
And if you live for other people's beliefs and opinions about you, you will never make any progress towards anything.
You know, that just kind of reminds me of, you spent so much time and I spent so much time being disciplined at our skill. You know, you spent hours and hours and hours where nobody saw what was going on developing that skill. I spent hours and hours and hours riding my bicycle, you know, and even in business, you know, the hours of grinding it out on your computer late at night, trying to build processes, trying to build systems, doing all of that stuff that people just don't see, you know. But that discipline, not only in the physicality side of things, it has to happen in the mind.
Yeah.
You know,
It's the
you
mind,
have
man.
to be so disciplined to not let that critic that you were just talking about, that knows every part of you, every weakness, not to let have a stand, a word. You got to be disciplined to shut that thing up.
In the biggest way. And some of your biggest critics are your biggest fans.
Yeah.
I've learned that too. They follow everything you do. They watch everything you do. And they're also quitters, I think, too. I call them quitters, the haters, because Michael, when's the last time you went to someone's Instagram page and talked crap in the comments section? Because you're busy.
Good.
You got other stuff going on. Right?
Yeah.
We just don't have time for that.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, you can't be worried. You can't even think about it.
Yeah.
Because you just have to be so focused on what you're producing and the outcome being useful. You have to do the task, do the thing. You can't spend any time on it.
Sure.
One of my favorite things is telling people what it was like coming up with all the support. And then the support winders when you start to grow.
Yeah.
From personal friends and things of that nature. You were asking me about a belief I had to let go of. This is another one. Everyone is not your friend, even when they say that they are, or you think that they are.
Yeah.
I spent the time at those gyms. I was running those gyms, and everyone knew I wanted to be a wrestler because they were coming to the local bars and the local places watching me work at the wrestling shows on the weekends, and then Monday in the gym. Oh, that was awesome, everything. And then one day I said, hey guys, I'm gonna move to Florida and chase this thing. And they were like, yeah, you do it. And then some of them were like, wait, you're actually gonna move and do that? So it was like half and half.
Yeah.
So then I did that. And this is before. So I moved to Florida for about 2 years, and then I came up to New Jersey close to 8 years ago. So when I was down in Florida, I instantly lost like half of everyone I spoke to. Because one, you're moving across the country. And two, you know, it's hard to keep those relationships. And the people that didn't believe really in me anyway kind of just dropped off. Then I came back up to Jersey. I'm doing some cool things now that are getting people's attention. And the half that were left got cut into a quarter because they were like, wait a minute. You're actually like doing stuff. I'm like, yeah, I told you I was gonna. And they're like, oh, all right. So like, you're really not coming back home then? No. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So now I'm noticing people starting to fade away, and it's like, wait a minute, you guys, my whole life are like rooting me on, cheering for me, and then I go to do the thing that I said I was going to do that you wanted me to do, and now you're like turning your back on me. What's up with that?
Yeah.
So then I had to learn that people want you to do well, but not so much better than them.
Right.
And then I had to learn again that people will root for you and cheer for you and support you as long as it serves them in some way. Once that no longer serves them in some way, they stop.
Yeah.
And some might even turn on you. So then you have to learn, oh, someone that I've been friends with literally my whole life doesn't really, all right. So are they a critic now? Maybe.
Yeah.
Or are they just cynical? I don't know. But either way, like you have to kind of detach that from your mind.
Yeah.
Kind of let that go. So that becomes a whole new learning thing with the discipline, with the accountability, so you're going through all these different mindset flips at the same time. And you're like, what's going on? So you're forced into these positions of, well, it actually doesn't matter, what anyone says.
Yeah.
It just matters what I do and what I think.
Yeah. And it's so easy from the outside to people to just look in and go, oh, he got lucky. He landed the contract with the AEW. He landed a beautiful girl on Jersey Shores, like it just, they don't see all the grind. They don't see all the tears. They don't see all the times that you wanted to quit. They don't see all of those times, but you had to have all of those times to make you who you are right now. That's right, to get that mind of yours to the point that you could be the person you are right now.
That's right, man. You said it before. No one sees that struggle and that grind, and that no one sees you. I don't know if you rode at night or not, but I assume you did.
Yeah.
No one saw those really late night hours of you having to not get hit by a car when you're just trying to do something for yourself. And no one sees working late at night at the desk. No one sees the late night drives. No one sees that you can't walk for 3 days sometimes after a wrestling match.
Right.
And you're wondering if your back is broken, but you don't want to go check because you don't want the answer. Right.
Yeah.
It's just like, no one, and they think they know, but they don't. And then through all of that stuff, no one's there for the no's and the maybe come back in 2 years. It's like, what does that even mean? Because that's not their life. They don't understand that.
Yeah.
So that's when you need the support the most.
Yeah.
And you don't get it until
you're right.
Until you're holding a championship above your head. And then everyone's like, oh, I always knew you could do it. Well, where have you been for 7 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're totally right.
Yeah.
You're totally right. And I don't know why people do that, when really, when you need someone the most is like when you haven't hit the big times, when you're grinding it out, I can't tell you how many times it's like, dang, I want to quit.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't just certain things, having my kids that were my motivator, or even at times my employees going, I've got the weight of them on my shoulder. And that's the only reason why I'm going right now is everything I want to give up. But if it wasn't for the fact that they depend on me to have a paycheck come Friday, I got to keep going.
Yep.
I've got a commitment because they signed on to my vision. And I got to stay committed for them when my belief in me is starting to fail.
But they believe in you, so you have to keep fighting. Yeah,
you do. You have to.
And for me, it's you were talking about you have to have it here, not just the body. One of my favorite things to say is you need to build both, because there are going to be some days where your mind gets you through what your body can't, and there are other days that your body gets you through when your mind is tapping out.
Yeah.
Because there's been plenty of times I'm on a flight or I'm on a long drive at night and my mind is like, listen, man, I'm good.
Yeah.
And my body is just, nope, we got to get there. We got to go.
Yeah.
We got to go. And then you get energy. You're like, where'd this come from? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Vice versa. You know, it's just like business, man. You're in the trenches. And then one day you get a good score and you get a little bit of a rebound. And then everyone's like, oh yeah, see, you're awesome. And you're like, yeah. I'm barely,
totally.
you know, I'm awesome. Yeah. You know,
on my second to the last day of my ride across the states, I'm on day 41.
Wow.
And my coach had told me, she said, Michael, on that second to the last day, I want you to take it all in and like, just remember, because I don't want you to do it on the last day because you're going to be absorbed with the arrival to the coast.
Mm-hmm.
And on that day, dude, I was so physically just done. Like every part of me hurt. I was done.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm riding, and here I am in North Carolina at this point. And in North Carolina, unlike the west side of the United States, there's a gas station like every 10 miles, you know? And so I would sit there and go, Michael, just go 10 more miles and reevaluate. And I'd ride my bike 10 miles. I'd go in a gas station. I'd fill up my water bottles. I'd get something to eat, take a little break and go, all right, let's go 10 more miles and 10 more miles. That day, dude, was the longest day I spent on my bicycle. I did over 200 miles that day.
Oh my God.
By just focusing on 10 miles at a time.
Yep.
So, it was the mindset that got me through, because the physical body was not on
wiped
par.
out.
You know, I was done. But it just amazes me how you really have more in you than what you think.
The body is amazing.
Yeah.
It will. I mean, you have to dig, and this is a trainable skill to really dig down deep when you're exhausted, when you're beat, when you're just done, and pull out some energy to keep fighting. That is a learnable, trainable skill.
Yeah.
But it's some of the worst stuff you'll ever do in your life. And I personally, I could never do what you just said. I just couldn't do it. Maybe I could train for it, but props to you. But I've been in those situations though, where I kind of like when my back is up against the wall and you just have to do what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Because if you're there on your bike and you just stopped, what are you going to do? You're there. You have to, your bike doesn't move unless you're on it. The bike doesn't care if you're tired. The bike doesn't care if you want to quit. You know, the goal is still there. You have to do. What are you going to do? Walk? You're not going to walk. You're going to hitchhike. You're not going to hitchhike. You're going to keep going.
Yeah.
The weights in the gym don't care if you had a good day or a bad day, or you're tired, or you're happy, or you're sad, or if it's raining outside, or if you got $1 million today or you lost $1 million today. Like, it doesn't matter. You still got to show up and do the work. You get out what you put in. We started by saying that. And that's what athletes and business people understand. And that's why I really think you're not born with that mindset, because it doesn't make any sense. It's completely counterintuitive to humanity. Our brains are meant to survive. Our bodies are built just to get by and survive. And the brain, its job is to look for threats. And its job is to identify things that might be a safety issue.
Yeah, right.
And then what we're talking about is the exact complete opposite of that. It makes no sense. So you do have to train your brain to think differently. Like, hey, no, this is going to be hard, but it's going to be okay. Yeah. And then your brain has to trust you. All right, let's try it. Hopefully you're right, because if you're not right, there's going to be some issues.
But totally.
When I was totally different than everything you've ever thought about ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before my ride, my coach told me, she goes, Michael, you're going to have about 5 times you want to quit. And I was like, you don't know me. Mm-hmm. I'll grind through that. I'll push through that. You don't know me. I'll never quit. Day 3, after all that motivation wore off, I'm sitting there in my tent, looking up in the ceiling of my tent that next morning. My body is now sore. The newness is worn off. And I go, what the hell was I thinking?
Right.
But then what kicks in is I made a commitment to myself. That discipline going, you know what? Yep. I do feel like quitting today.
Yep.
But I'm going to get up and keep pedaling. And she was dead on. I had 5 times throughout that whole trip. Even one time I was run off the road by a car. I hit an embankment. It knocked me out. I fell down this ravine and fortunately fell into a creek with my face up.
Wow.
While I was knocked out, dude.
Wow.
And when I came about, I looked up at the top of this embankment of this ravine, and I saw about half a dozen people just kind of looking down over on me and firefighters coming down to assist me. And, so I get up and, they want to take me to the hospital and I'm like, nope. And I got like my ribs I broke some ribs and they're like bulging out my side. And I'm like, that doesn't feel good. I think those may be broken. But like you said earlier, you don't want to go and check because you're afraid of what the results are going to be.
Right.
And I called my brother and my brother's like, Michael, if you don't get back on that bike for every day that goes by, it's going to get that much harder.
Yep.
And I was like, all right. That next morning, man, I got up and did 70 miles that next day, and it was you just kept fighting, and I kind of use this analogy of the pain and all the things that were going wrong the previous day was now the new starting point. Like that is all old information.
Yep.
This is the new information that I have and that I'm going to go with. And the pain that my ass feels right now on sitting on that saddle, or my ribs from that crash, that's the new norm.
Yep.
Now you keep going.
That's the new baseline. That's what it is. And we keep going. That's it.
Yeah.
And Michael, I could tell you're a lot like me because the last thing I would ever do is turn around and go back home and say, you know what? It just didn't work out. Because that whole way home, I'd be in my head, you're a failure. I would rather be dead than do that.
Totally. That would be worse.
That would be worse than just doing it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how tired you are. Break all my ribs. I am not turning around.
That conversation is a horrible conversation to have with yourself.
Yes, it is. But we've all been there and had to do it. That's why we know which path we would rather choose.
Yeah, totally. Zack, so for somebody grinding it out right now, like they're in the trenches, they've got the broken ribs, they got every reason to quit with no break in sight. What would you tell them?
You have to have a bigger reason to continue.
Yeah. That's good.
What that is up to you.
Yeah.
And if you don't have one, then it's probably not worth what you're going through right now.
Mm.
Maybe there's something else you can try, something else you can do. But ultimately, we do what we do because we believe in it. And if you don't believe in it, it's the wrong path.
Yeah. So, and I think you just answered it, but you reference, you just keep going, and I say you just keep pedaling. What does that mean to you?
You just have to keep fighting. If you truly believe in what you believe in, that you can get to where you want to go, that you can do the thing you say you can do, that you can build the life you want to build, the company, whatever it is, then you just keep going. Because I will tell you, the goalpost will always move back further. There will never be a target big enough. You think there will now, but there won't be.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you could, Michael, you'd ride your bike across the ocean.
Totally.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So you better love what you're doing, because if you don't, it's going to be a long, hard life.
Yeah. So true. So true. Well, anything else you want to tell the listeners what's coming new for you and what's been on the horizon?
Sure, but keep an eye out for sure. TNA Wrestling this summer should be some exciting things coming up. We're currently airing Jersey Shore Family Vacation on MTV right now every Thursday night, 8 p.m. We are pretty popular all across the world, actually. So check it out. And for me, Michael, I'm focused on still my personal development, helping people with their personal development, but also I have the Prestige Access podcast that I'm working on, talking to some cool people. I'd love to actually do this with you on the show. I think that'd be awesome.
Absolutely. Love to.
And business, man. I have a little investment group. We look at outside business ventures all the time. And again, stuff that we think is fun, interesting, CPG products, whatever it is. There's a couple franchise things we're involved in. But it's all an extension of what I love, so it goes back to you got to love what you're doing.
Yeah.
At least I believe that. There's a lot of people who don't, but I think you should. I think life is very short and it's very quick. And I think while we are here, you should enjoy doing what you do every day. And if you don't, we have free will. You can make a change. That's the other part of life that a lot of people, you can do whatever you want. This world is amazing. You can do whatever you want, especially here in this country, man. You could just, if you want to make a change, make the change before it's too late.
Totally. I can't imagine going to work, going an 8-to-5 job in something that you hate, especially to the point you just made. You have a choice.
You have a choice, especially in America, man, and a lot of other places too. Like, you don't need to be unhappy. If you're unhappy with your family situation, fix it. If your work situation, fix it. With your personal situation, if you think you're out of shape or you got a problem, fix it. People are there who are willing to help you, and if they aren't, they're not the right people for you. I mean, we just spent an hour talking about that. It happens.
Yeah.
You got to be there for yourself, though, at the end of the day.
Totally. Well, Zack, thank you so much, brother. This has been amazing. I appreciate the opportunity for coming on the podcast. I look forward to being on your podcast.
Yeah.
Thanks for being on, brother.
No, this was awesome, Michael. Thank you very much, man. This was great. I appreciate it.